Welcome everybody. Oh, there we go. Welcome back. Today, I think we're going to be writing some Cytrons. That should be good. I look forward to that. Just make sure the volume on this is turned down. Oh, there we go. Perfect. 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 Fantastic, in fact. It all appears to be working. Obviously, I've got a little bit of housekeeping to do. It's always the way, isn't it? But I'll get there in a second. So, fantastically, I found a nice channel on Reddit last night about a creative challenge, which I'm going to start today. I still haven't got my intro sorted out, but with a little luck, I'll be able to get that going on shortly. And we'll see what I need to do to get into that. It's something to do with Twitch DB. It's difficult, but I will figure it out. I will figure it out. No doubt. Anyhow, to writing. I'm going to be writing Psytrance today. And yesterday I started a tune and that's available. And we're going to crack on with that, I think. If you watched yesterday, I made one or two slight changes. And I'll explain what those changes are and then carry on. Now, if I jump down here to performance, I can see how much CPU I'm using. And one of the changes I made was to the bass channel. I changed how the compressor was working. If you remember, I put in a sidechain compressor to control the volume of the bass line. When the kick played, the bass line does that. It ducks down. But I changed the way I was doing that slightly. And the end result was it used a lot more CPU, but I think sounds a lot better. And it's this particular EQ that I'm using called TDR Nova, which you will have seen me use yesterday on both the kick and the bass line. But it has a special little trick, which means that I can actually duck specific frequencies using a sidechain. And that sounds a little bit more natural, or can do, than full bandwidth compression. Excuse me, which is what I had going on. So I'll show you the setup I've got on that. And it's over here. So this is the first EQ I put in. As you can see, this is using that's the second EQ, I think. No, that's the second EQ. You see up here, I've got external sidechain. That means that it's taking signal from the kick channel and I'm using it to duck down the bass frequencies when the kick is playing. And because the kick is extremely bassy, it's also a very long signal. So I set up this sidechain mute channel where I EQ the kick signal before I send it to the sidechain on the bass channel. So I cut out all the bass on it and then just work with the signal, this clicky signal. And I send it off pre-fader, so I mute out the channel so that gets rid of all the excess information, which is definitely beneficial to what I'm doing. The downside is that it's a very expensive plugin. Nothing you can do about that, it just is. But I can bounce the channel, and unlike some DAWs, Studio One is capable of focusing backwards through the dependencies of your sidechain, so you can actually bounce down sidechain channels and render all the inserts, or not if you choose. Also, in Nova, I did a bit of dynamic ducking. See, this one uses the bass signal itself to duck, and here there's a frequency I didn't like, which I found. It's these two, so I'll mute this these two channels. You can see the effect it has on the signal. So this is with EQ. It's kind of it kind of rings in a way which I'm not very comfortable with. And that improves the ringing slightly. It's more compact and controlled, but there's a kind of click which I didn't like. And that makes that slightly more palatable to me. The sidechain from the kick channel, if I take that off, it sounds like this. And just out of interest, I'm going to see whether that affects the peak level. So that's sort of peaking somewhere around -1. Not much. I think it changes it. It's quite subtle, but it definitely does. And maybe that sounds better still. That might almost be too much. Maybe there is the sweet spot. Who knows? So that's effectively what I've done on the bass channel. I'm going to freeze that. I extended it out and merged it all into one part. And it's here. We transform it to audio track, and you see I can render all the inserts. Preserve the instrument track state so I can get back. I can remove the instrument so it doesn't use RAM, and I can set up an auto tail. I'm going to do all that. And that's done. You can hear that it's kept the processing in place, which is fantastic, and that frees up CPU. I'm going to keep the kick channel EQ on. I like to be able to do fills of the kick drum as I work. I find it too limiting otherwise. I'm also put in this little drum loop. But what you can hear, or at least I think I can hear, is that this is actually slightly interfering with the attack of the kick, which could be problematic. Not too much, but I feel like I'm losing some of that very hard click at the front when it's playing. So it might be better for me to actually take that out of the kick. Obviously I put in a crash as well, that's just a bit of nothing. I set up an EQ, not an EQ, a reverb on this channel, and I'll show you that. That is quite simply the preset Medieval on Valhalla Vintage Verb, which I think is a fantastic verb. And I slightly changed my pads here, the Largo pads. I reduced the low pass cutoff on it a bit, and the envelope amount, and also put in the comb filter again. I'm modulating the comb filter using this random, very slow LFO, and I'm modulating the low pass filter using a faded in sine wave. You see, I'll show you what that knob does. So that just provides a little bit more movement and sort of sheen without making it much more overtly bright. I also put in a vintage compressor, exactly the same vintage compressor program on this channel, and send it off to the send channel with the vintage compressor, the vintage reverb on. And I set up a sidechain compressor with the kick drum, so I'll put that on so you can hear what it sounds like. It's not doing very much at all. Just provides a bit of on the pad, a little bit of movement. If I increase out the time, you might be able to hear it more clearly. but you'll know that most of it is actually getting lost in this scent here, I think. You hear that? Now you can really hear it. About there. Have a swig of tea. I'll be civilised. Also on the bass, my bass pattern is if I take 4 semiquavers, so the first beat and then the first 4 semiquavers before the second beat, my bass pattern goes kick on the first beat, semiquaver on the second beat, quaver on the third beat. The semiquaver, the second semiquaver of those 4 semiquavers, I reduce the velocity slightly. And if you remember, the velocity controlled the cut off of the filter, so that opens less now. So there's less of a immediately apparent kind of attack click on the bass note of the second semiquaver. So in effect, what happens is you have your kick click, and then on the third semiquaver, so boom, 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 you have this click, but is the effect you're going for. Rather than it's which is slightly groovier, I think. And just for ease of working, I'm going to cut off this tail. It's not serving any real purpose. Let's have a little look at our bass channel, shall we? Oh, didn't mean to do that. And you'll see that it's exactly the same shape every single time, which is nice. And that's going to work perfectly, so I can loop that without causing myself any issues at all. Perfect. And I'll save myself probably, this will calm down, I'll save myself probably 20% CPU. I'm also going to bounce out this pad here. This is a very expensive pad. And a tip in Studio One, save yourself some time, is to merge parts. Otherwise it will bounce each individual one and calculate the tail for each individual one. And a channel in Studio One is completely capable of overlapping. It doesn't crossfade between them, or it can do, but you can also set the behavior so it will literally have each audio event as a separate thing and overlap them, so the tail of one will run behind the main body of another, which is fantastic. But it will render 4 completely separate channels. It's much quicker to merge them if you can, and then just transform one part to the channel. See, now it's calculating the tail. It's unloaded the instrument. I'm going to get rid of that fade and make it, I think, probably like that. And the reason I've done that is because chords typically always use a lot of CPU. So I guess we should be putting in some new sounds. Let's try and get some effect fills. I'm kind of going for a kind of, I don't know, somewhat progressive sound here. I'd like to have some weird effect noises in here, and I'm going to use a synth I haven't used too much on stream yet, which is the UVI Falcon. And hope that doesn't crash everything, because I can't remember when the last time I checked whether it still was. Fingers crossed. Earth to iLok. There we go. Fantastic. What a pain in the ass. Okay, so what I want to do here is use either. I own Alchemy, and I don't use Alchemy anymore because of the situation involving Apple and Alchemy, and I'm a PC guy. But what I do use is one particular folder of the sample library, and I now use it in this, if I could figure out how to make anything work in here. There we go. And that particular sample library is program. Here I go. The sample library is how do I do this? I can't remember. Good God. There we go. I go into tree mode. Aquasonic One Shots. That's the name of the sample library. Aquasonic One Shots. Sorry about that. I got completely distracted. So you've got to go through all these different steps just to get a sound out of UVI Falcon, which is my major problem with this otherwise truly mind-blowing piece of software. There we go. Now it will load in. Okay, multi-granular. I don't think it will let me drag and drop, but we'll give it a whirl. So I took this Aquasonic One Shots library and I moved it over into one of my actual libraries. And the reason is it has several amazing hits. Everything's reverb to hell. And they're sort of primed for granular resynthesis. That one. Nah, it won't let me do it. So I want Aquasonic Hits number 39. And I'm trying to remember how to load a sample. It won't let me do it, so I'm going to have to do it the old-fashioned way and actually go to my computer. Complete library. Sonic Shots. There it is. Now it will load it. And that loads the sample in. So let's see if I can get some sound going on. I'm going to make that a kind of loop 2-bar note going into my crash, so it's clear that I'm getting to the end of that section. And obviously that isn't exactly in the right place yet, but we'll sort that out. Ooh. Now what I want to do is sweep backwards through this sample. I'm going to increase the density. I'm going to increase the size, and increasing the size will make it smoother. I'm going to put in a bit of jitter, a bit of pitch variation. And you see here, this is the real trick. I've got speeds which are reduced to 0, so now if I play it, it actually won't go through the sample. You hear that? It's stuck at the very beginning of the sample. Let's try and get a smooth sound going on with it. And you hear I'm getting a more and more complicated sounds quite simply and easily. Okay, so next I'm going to make this move using an envelope. So I need to add a modulation. And I want to add internal. Whoa, let me do that. On the key group, I want to add an analog ADSR. That will be fine for what I'm doing here. And it sets up analog ADSR1. And the amount of modulation is here. So what I want to do is increase the attack. And 2 seconds, 2 bars even at 145. I'm looking for probably around, so 140 beats per minute. Probably what, I don't know, a 4-second delay. We'll try that to start with. Sustain up and increase the release all the way. And I will go from there to start with. I'll go from position 100 and I'll sweep back. So I'm providing negative modulation. And let's see how that sounds now. I want that faster. And I want it to start in a different place, probably around there. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I want to control the amplitude as well, and also probably the pitch. Let's have a little change, see what happens if I change pitch. See, suddenly we're talking about a very different sort of sound. So the amplitude envelope is here. I want to increase that up to probably around there. And I don't actually want a very long release at all. I'm going to do that all with reverb. Don't worry about the fact it's quiet at the moment. There's still lots and lots to do. In terms of effects, I need a filter on there. I'm going to go for a brick wall filter. And these can be really, really sleek. Look at that, 96 dB. I want a high pass and I want it to be at around about 100 Hertz. Somewhere around there. Just to cut the bass out of this signal. Let's boost up the dB. And we could also, I can add modulation to, I'm going to use an existing, I'll use my filter envelope, so that's down here again. And that will now modulate the pitch. Cool. So let's get some effects going on in there. And there's fantastic effects in this synth, I think. Maybe I'll put this in the program layer. Be easier. The stereo delay in here is amazing. I wish I had it on as a plugin. Let's increase that feedback. Ooh. And note that it actually changes the stereo position. I mean, that's crazy. Crazy, crazy shit there. And a reverb as well. It's got a great reverb. I'll probably turn the reverb off, but just to show you. That's an annoying habit it's got. That's not the reverb I wanted. Spark verb. Large to endless. Amazing, but unfortunately it's hammering my CPU. I didn't drop any frames, that's good. Okay, so I'm going to go with the reverb I've actually got. That's almost like a bell. So let's see how that sounds in the context of everything else. And I think that might be better away from the crash. I think just as an actual kind of fill on its own. And I can work with this more. I can change the pitch. And I think I prefer it like that. It makes me think the crash is too quiet. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And things like this I tend not to leave lingering around. I bounce them out straight away. I'll get rid of them. Falcon is a very, very CPU heavy synth. And I think that would be the point to bring in our drum loop. The drum loop is a standard loop in Studio One. All I did was it had a really long hi-hat, so I chopped it into slices and then sort of gated them a bit, which is a pretty standard technique. So let's see how that sounds. And at this point, what I'd like to do is bring down the filter cutoff on my Largo channel. So this is going more into the background. So it's kind of like the dominant thing at this point. That's what you've got to be careful of. You can forget what's in the mix. You get so focused on what you're working on, you forget to listen to the whole mix. So at that point, my leads and what I'd be hearing if I was listening to it for the first time, what I want people to hear is this Largo 3 channel. So I'm going to call this first lead. And because we've been listening to it a while, this is what it's like without it. There's not a lot there without it. That's the lead which is providing all the space. So let's jump around to this first lead channel. And I'm going to put a filter on here. And I haven't decided how we're going to get into this section yet, because obviously I'm not going to start the tune there. even though that's what it says. Well, I'm not going to do that. But what I am deciding pretty much straight away. Ooh, is that I'm going to want this. God damn. Alright. Do things the hard way. To close down over time. How much do I wish that this plugin came with everything just off? Just give me a low pass filter without the resonance up, completely open, and with no modulation going on. PreSonus, are you listening? Make that the init patch, for God's sakes. Okay. So I want automation. Add remove. Automation is on the synth unless you open this audio channel. So then you get inserts, effects, and I want the auto filter. I want the filter. So it will gradually drill down further and further if the developer sets up their effects in the same way as PreSonus do. It will drill down further and further into the different sections of each plugin. And I want the cutoff. I add it. So that's very, very similar to Cubase. And at bar 17, I'm going to move that down. Probably, I don't see myself wanting to go much lower than that by the end. Let's have a check. The end is fine. I actually like it to get there faster. Let's try that. And I think probably 1.3K is a better frequency. I'm not looking to do a lot to the sound, just sort of. Just sort of pushing it back a bit. So yeah, that works for me. That's less present. I want another one of these. So let's try the same thing again. I'm going to do much the same thing, which is going to be loading a Falcon. Again, I'm going to jump down here to my library. That'll do. Don't know what it is. Doesn't really matter. Normally get something going on. Oh, yeah. So every time I want to do it, I've got to do this. So open up part. Add a new program. To the new program, I add a new layer. To the new layer, I add a new key group. And finally, I get to the point where I can add in my multi-granular bit. So, crazy. Amazingly powerful synth. I might well do some kind of a feature on it because it is mind-boggling what you can do with it. But god damn, it's a pain in the ass to use. Okay, so let's set up a sound. This time, we're going for the 33 bar loop here. So this time I'm going to set up a longer sound. I might need to change the sound a bit because I think I've got a drum hit. Oh no, we could be okay. Oops. I'll set this out to easier to work with. amount. Alright, I did 6 bars, not 3, fine. So I'm going to jump round to there. Yeah, I can work with that. So we're going to do exactly the same thing again. I'm going to increase the number of voices. I'm going to increase the position spread, then time spread. I'm going to put a bit of random variation into it. Increase the size up to around 200 mil. Put a bit of jitter, increase density. Bit of variation on pitch. And reduce the speed down to nothing. Increase the position to 100. Ooh. Add some modulation. In this case, it's going to be. I use a different envelope this time just to show you. So this is a DAHDSR, which means delay, attack, hold, decay, sustain, release. Oh, God. Right. And this actually works in an incredibly similar way. The one nice thing about this is I can control the curve, which allows me to slightly more subtly progress through a sound. So this time I'm going to go for about 6 seconds. That will probably be in the right kind of region. Something like that, and I'll push release out all the way. And also turn the curve up. So now the release will not start decaying away. And that can be a good thing or a bad thing. We'll figure it out. But that's way off into the distance now. And you know, you can also drag the points around directly. And in some ways, this can actually be easier to adjust. If you're lucky. Okay. So I set up the modulation, but it will be going the wrong way. We want to go backwards through the sound, so I set it to -1. The speed is on 0, position's 100. That's a lot too much random. Probably no more than 10 seconds, 10 milliseconds. Let's check that sound out. Let's edit the sounds. I could probably take about 10% of that out. There's kind of like a massive reverse cymbal. Again, I can hear a very low rumble in there, so I'm definitely going to need to put in some filtering. There's my brick wall filter. High pass. Probably around there. It's getting decay, delay again. What an amazing, amazing Delay of the Kings right here. Let's try messing around with pitch. Sounds pretty incredible. love it. That's a little too much. Incredible. This synth can do no wrong. So I'll send that off. I need a little bit of send on that, I think, definitely. It's this one. I'll call that FX Suite. Then it's clear to me what it is. 1, and this is FX Suite 2. Send that off to the long verb. All I need to do is that is transform it into an audio track. I'll probably reduce the volume of it slightly, but it's not a big problem. I'm going to move the fade out off. Check how that sounds. I'm more than happy with that. And I think I'd like a little ride cymbal at that point. So where would I find a ride cymbal? I ask myself. Probably in here. That'll do. That wasn't my plan. There we go. I want it exactly there. Not there. Exactly not there. I want it exactly there. I'll move that channel up. I'm going to rename these. It's a bit unclear. Crash. Ride. Don't want time stretch on that. Don't follow. Okay. Not sure about that ride. Okay. Undo. I have to have a better ride than that. Have we got a jazz library? Got little snares. That's much more like it. Oops. That's about 1000% more what I had in mind. So into the next section, really, we've got this amazing kind of laid back, chilled out vibe. And that's the point where I feel like we should be getting into a lead of some description. I'm just going to go and have a very short rest break. I'll mute out the mic. I'm going to put on the kettle and I'm going to use the bathroom. So I'll be 2 Right, I'm back. I'll make sure I've turned the mic back on. Yeah, that's working perfect. Okay. So I think before I go into this new section, I'm going to keep on working in here because there's not enough to carry a tune. It's nearly enough. It's amazing how little it needs when you create a good feel in the tune. It's amazing how little actual content you need. You can just sort of lift it up and let people groove, and not put in too much, not make it too intense, and it will carry tune quite well. But I would like a little bit more, so I'm going to open up Falcon again. I'm having a Falcon morning. We'll jump around to Tree View, do our bullshit nonsense again. New program, add layer, and the bullshit doesn't stop here. If you want to put in automation, oh, good luck with that. It's perfectly doable, but it's God, why? And we are going to put in a wavetable oscillator. Welcome to the wacky world of Falcon. So now I'm not using samples, I'm in oscillator mode. And look at all this. These are all just like in Largo yesterday. I can do just all kinds of crazy stuff in here. Let's go. Oh, God knows, honestly. Let's go for not weak. I have no idea what this sounds like. There's only one way to find out. So I can move between all the different waveforms, and I think this is going to be probably Car Plus. Yeah, this is going to be a Car Plus strong synthesis type wave style. Let's go for something else. What was that? Bell waveform. That'll be interesting. And also, this has some particularly good kind of tricks up his sleeve in terms of how I can scan through the waveform. Some of which are kind of more like, I would say, Massive from Mayhem. Massive from Mayhem, Massive from Native Instruments. Oh, sorry, I was reading the top one there. Just can't decide. Craftwave, that'll do. Fine. Whatever. So let's try and get some kind of synth lead going on, something to carry it through. And the idea I got is kind of like this. And I'm just sort of going to have that out there. I'm going to reduce the gain of that because that is super loud. Not F4. And put a bit of verb in it, just for my ears. I love that Valhalla verb. It barely needs anything else already. It's just crazy rich. Let's go a bit of modulation on that. We'll add modulation. Key group, I want a new LFO. Drunk is like, so these are all the different modulators I've got. Attack, Hold, Decay, Attack, decay, sustain release, new attack decay, delay attack, hold decay, sustain release, drunk, which is random, and new LFO. I just want that. That'll be the Melman. I'm going to set the trigger mode to the song. So this will now, it won't re-trigger when I press a note. And it won't play if I press a key. If I was to have a keyboard and play it now, nothing would happen. But when I'm in the song, it will take the song position in samples, which I can set up here, I believe. Each sample will increment the phase of the LFO effectively. So it's the same every single time. The phase of the oscillator is always the same, and it's sort of, but it gives the illusion of being free running. Frequency, I want to be able to hear it, so I'm gonna have to loop it, I'm afraid. I'm gonna make it a 2-bar loop. Well, that immediately contradicts me. Oops. And so we got lots and lots of different waveforms. I can draw my own. And then select user to actually use that waveform. Not that I want to use that one, but you get the idea. I can do random sample and hold. And I can smooth that out, or I can do that with my own. You get the idea. Doesn't go up past 20 Hz, so it's not into the audible range. For now, I'm going to go for this random sample and hold with a good bit of smoothing on it. I'll turn off the smooth so I can sort of get a feel for how quickly it's modulating. And if I want to turn on a tempo sync, it's just there. And obviously this is an improvised synthesis. I don't have any specific plan of what I'm trying to achieve here. I'm just trying to achieve the sound I like. Now, phase distortion. I can do some interesting things here. And I can also make this a stereo part. Let's turn off that phase distortion. Sounds pretty good. Let's get some effects in there. Drive distortion, we have a wave shaper, which is nice. All kinds of bits and pieces. Let's turn off. I'm not sure about that phase distortion. It's not doing what I wanted it to do. We're just going to leave it alone for now. Also, it still seems like quite a lot of. There we go. Interesting. I call that a bug. It was still phase distorting even though I turned it off. Okay. Try something like that. So that can be used for very aggressive lead sounds. But I seem to make quite a clean sound. So however I affect it, it just wants to be nice. So we're going to be nice. It comes with this amazing expander unit, and look at all these filter modes. Oh dear God! So this is based upon the Oberheim expander. So this is obviously SVFs in various different configurations. Look at that! God damn! So that's 2 notches. Pass. We're going to go for, I think, probably yeah, we'll go with that. So this is a notch filter and a low pass filter. Got someone key tracking? Add on an envelope. Just an ADSL will be fine. Probably a bit too much modulation. Now we're getting there. I'll have a look at the amplitude of the thing as well. Get rid of that. And delay up here in our program, because why wouldn't I want this delay? Let's go for a special effect. That is a pretty special effect. What an amazing synth. Different wave. Yeah, it's really doing that. It's just rammed with amazing noises. Just rammed. Different filter modes. I think probably there. So let's listen to it. And those notes aren't working. I think maybe I can get away with some more time as well. Maybe that's a lot now. 20 seconds. It almost sounds like a kind of digital guitar. Bit too much delay. It's drowning out the main. And I'd like to put in a high pass filter as well. I'm going to use the expander filter, whack up the key tracking to 100%, and look for a decent high pass filter. I don't want the resonance, I just don't want the sound has a lot of body each time it hits, so I'm going to try and get that out using a high pass filter. More like that. I want this kind of chilly vibe. Yeah, I can go with that. heat that out. Getting a very, very cool, nice vibe. I think it sounds better just there, so I get the ride. And I can definitely work with that. So I'm gonna freeze that. Yeah, I freeze by and large almost everything I do, and if I want to come back to it, then I can just come here and go transform to instrument track and keep on working. But the audio is right there if I want it. It's completely editable in that format. It's fantastic. I love this program. It's amazing. So I think I'll probably keep on with that part. I faded it back so it's kind of just this background wobble. Take off the automation. I'll jump back in. Otherwise I'll be duplicating the automation as well. I think. No, good. I'm not. Show hide automation. And I'll just blast that out. And at that point, I'll probably get rid of it. So I'll show hide automation again. And at about 57, I'm just going to fade that out. Fade that away into nothing. That'll be fine. So I'm going to have like, this is basically a 64 bar section. And what can help, especially for this first section, I think at bar 9 what I'll do is I'll put an on-beat, very, very tinky closed hi-hat. So for that I'm going to open up battery and drop it in there. And I want a closed hi-hat. I want an acoustic closed hi-hat. I'm looking for something quite clean. Not like that. If that didn't have verb on it, it would be perfect. But it does. Annoying. nearly. I'm sure I'll come across something at some point. How hard can it be? That'll do. How hard can it be to find just a clean, unreverbed hi-hat sample? Apparently impossible. So, one bar. It's going to be on C1, I think. Yeah. 16ths, and just on the beat with all of them. Nothing too flashy. Just duplicate that out. I'm going to start in bar 9 though. Give me a bit more sense of movement. And I want to EQ that quite heavily. Get rid of most of it really. And I'm going to change the volume envelope of it as well. I want this ADSR. Starting to get there now. I'll duplicate out the ride symbols so I have a sort of signal that I'm going into a new section. Probably around there. And I'm going to need a room reverb as well. Getting one of those going on is a good idea anyway. So I look for a clean symbol just so I can muck it up. Add FX channel. So now I'm going to rename these. This will become long verb. And this will be short verb. I'll put in Guitar Rig 5. I'm going to use reflector, so I tend to, for my room reverbs, I tend to use a impulse reverb. I want a small room or small studio, that'll be fine. Probably tracking room will be fine. Make sure I'm just getting the wet signal. And jump back round to my battery channel, which is here. I'll rename that on beat, closed tap, and send that to the short verb. And that now sounds like that. Perfect. And at that point, I think probably it'll be time to put in the snare. Might go for an acoustic one. Not mad on any of these. Back to analog. Where's my DAs? They must have a DMX snare in here. None of the above. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a different instrument, I think, as I'm just not feeling that. And I am going to go for Kontakt 5 and hope that I remembered to install the library. So this could be interesting. And I'm going to go for Retro Machines Mark II. No, I'm not. Studio Drummer. That'll do. I don't need the full kit at all. Just go for a light kit. And it will load up. Perfect. You see at the top here it's loading up. And what I can't remember is what note that is. So I'm going to play around with the MIDI until I figure out where the snare is. I think I'm going to want that. I'm immediately happier with that than any of the samples I was getting. Let's figure out if I can get rid of some of the reverb they've got on here though, which is infuriating. Ooh. That's sounding pretty good. I'm gonna edit what's going on in here because I kind of feel that there might be something I'm missing in terms of FX. Interestingly not, there's no reverb on there. Okay, that's cool, that's fine. Not sure about it. Let's try a different drum kit. Nope. Normally I don't struggle with snares, but today for some reason I'm having a bit of a mare. We'll go with late kit. No, I don't need the full, just the light. That's better. pretty happy with that. So I'm gonna play with this to make the sound fit into the mix a bit better. So this is going to be an EQ and compression job. Not that one. Let's go with the actual slightly more obvious compressor. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to catch the attack of the snare. So that kind of crushes it and takes all the life out of it, but I actually want to increase the dynamic range a bit. Could also possibly do using there we go. That's what's going on with it. It's been fucked about with. If I take off that compressor, that's better. And what's going on with the tape? Okay, so now I just need to EQ it. I'm much happier with the balance of the snare drum there. And as you can see down here at the low end, I've got way too much low end, so I'll get rid of that. But quite a big part of the sound is low end, so I've got to be careful. That's probably about as low as I dare go. Maybe something like that. And there's something I like to do. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do it in one instrument. I might have to do it in two. Something like that. Might even work every other bar. I'm going to merge them, and then I'm going to ghost this copy out, so if I change it, it will stay across the copies. That means I can edit all of it from an easier position here. Get the try and get as close as I can to the sound I'm after. That's kind of it. Now I'm going to separate out the share copies. Now the changes will not be reflective, and I'm going to try and see if I can get some toms going on. No, maybe not. Change your mind on that immediately. so decisive. So let's see. So now I've started writing in a new section, and it's important to consider how, when you're going from one section into the next, how it flows. It's very easy to get locked into this section and then go back to your old section and find that actually, my God, what have I done? This sounds completely different and alien. So it needs to flow. I'm not convinced by that double hit. I think it nearly works, but it doesn't quite. So I'm going to lose it. Sometimes it does work. This instant, no. Let's get a little bit of short verb. And what's becoming very obvious to me is that on my short verb, I need an EQ. It's really pushing out bass, which I don't necessarily want. That was informative. Sounds, yeah. Let's get another one of those in it. That closed hi-hat's going to go all the way to the end, I'm sure. As is that snare. So at this point, I've kind of got to figure out what this section is going to do. Which means experimenting in the synth, basically. I'm going to put another one of those in at bar 57, and then that'll be that. I won't do any more with that idea, at least for a long while. So let's go for another Falcon. Why not? It's been Falcon all morning, we might as well keep on going. And we'll do our standard thing. We'll jump around to tree view. Add a new program. Add a new layer. And add a new key group. So I could have multiple key groups in one layer. Which would allow me to work with individual samples across the keyboards. And then I could have multiple layers within a program, so I could trigger more than one synth sound from a particular bit of the keyboard. And then within the program, all of that can be considered to be a part. So this effectively is very much like an incredibly powerful, well, basically it is. It's just like a sampler. With the one difference being that they've also decided to put in oscillators. It's an extremely powerful piece of software. You can also do scripting and things. I think it's in Lua, which I'm not familiar with at all, but it's seriously powerful, put it like that. I'm going to go for the wavetable again. And this time I'm going to try and build a pad. What's good for pads? Why not? It's just going to be a simple sweep. A 4-bar sweep, and I think probably I'm going to have to change that, but we'll see. Maybe it gets better around here. I'll jump round to the part I'm writing, and I'm going to solo it so I can work on the sound. The sound I'm going for, I'm going to make a big wide stereo pad, low down, that opens up with a low pass filter and is slightly detuned, sort of a sort of brassy patch. Yeah, I can make something out of that. So the number of voices is going to go up to 3. It's going to be in stereo. I'll increase that stereo spreads. Detune about so much, maybe slightly less. I don't want any wave spreads. And let's see how we sound. Very digital. I like it. I put in a bit of modulation. I don't want too much. An LFO. I'll go for a random sample and hold, and I'll smooth it out. Probably about that much. Starting to get there. Still a bit high. Interesting. Maybe a few more voices. That's the kind of sound I'm looking for. Okay, let's get some filtering going on. For filter, I would like to have brick wall filter. Get the idea. High pass. Cut it to about 100. About there. And then I will put in the filter, the expander filter. Let's try that filter. wonder if I can go an octave down here. No. And then finally, I want a delay. Ooh, why did it do that? Magic box. I think that's going to be our sound. So I need to modulate the cutoff here. Add modulation. On the layer, I want a new ADSR. And where it gets really confusing is if you don't set up the filter in the right place, then the tracking does not work correctly with modulation. So it can be really, really difficult. I'm going to probably probably around there. I'm probably going to open it about a quarter. Let's try that. Is it doing anything? I don't think I've got the filter in the right place. Let's try on the key group, shall we? Expand the filter. It was that filter. Key tracking was on. It was about there. Bit of resonance. Add modulation. Key group. Something like that. And I'll push that out a bit. Slightly too much. Push the release off. Now on the amp envelope. I think we're going to be looking at something like that. And then obviously we want lots of nice reverb. Perfect. Let's make that a slightly more interesting chord. And we'll see how this works. Could be too much, probably too much. No. I don't think it needs it. Right, the ride going for 49. It's reused that FX sweep, so there's a sense of continuity in what I'm doing. That should be a crash at that point. My mistake. Excellent. Cool. For now, I'm going to take a break. I'll be going for just shy of 2 hours. I'm going to take a break, have a bite to eat. My stomach's growling. I hope you can't hear that. Then I'm going to have a little think about this and come back and maybe do some streaming of this some more. Maybe do something else. Maybe do some games. I'm not sure. All good fun. Thank you for watching. If you happen to be one of my viewers this morning, so it's my 2 sick and Paradi Thailand, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you all later. Thanks a bunch, guys. Peace out.